I just want to go and part with two thoughts. Number one, hopefully they should be obvious to all of us. And I think these 2 points are important because whether we are cloud providers, technologists, users, at the end of the day, we want to make our users' trek to the cloud a successful one. And I think to that point, really, there are two things that I want to continue to remind us of. Number one is that we are in the continuous delivery problem domain, right? And so this relates to a lot of questions that you get about alternatives to using something like Spinnaker or Harness, who have also joined the continuous delivery fight. But we are sourced in continuous delivery, and there is a specific set of problems in that domain that we're trying to go and solve, right? So I talk about how in the whole DevTools chain, from source all the way to CI and build and whatnot, out to operationalizing these things, there's a lot of information. There's a certain subset of that information which is important to us to go and solve the problems of continuous delivery. So once again, continuous delivery is about making safe, repeatable deployments out to the cloud in our situation. So really that comes down to managing change as you roll that out and operationalizing it. So what is the change? Getting visibility into that change? What happens when change goes wrong? Those are the problems that we're trying to go and solve for our organizations and our users. And that comes down to specific things like artifact management, and it begs questions around what is the right interaction model with adjacent systems like CI systems, for example, things that we need to do, down to operationalizing these things. What information do we need to go ahead and surface? What are the first class pieces of information that we need to be really good about treating? So I want to encourage us to continue to think about those things. And also the corollary is to be very deliberate about things that we don't need to really focus on. So I've said many times, Spinnaker is probably, in general, not a good general purpose orchestrator, for example. So when people ask, using Spinnaker for CI, maybe as an umbrella tool, but to solve the CI problem, maybe we probably wouldn't recommend that you go in that direction. So doing the fewer things, knowing what's important to us, doing those things very, very well. Okay, so once again, from those of us who are contributing and developing, representing our respective cloud platforms, I want to encourage us, remind us to go and think about that. And then also for all of you who are here, probably a lot of people who are operating, building out what platform means for you guys, what your organization's trek to the cloud, or from one form of cloud to another form of cloud, whether it's containerization or going serverless, what that looks like. You guys are pioneering that change and trying to enable you developers to get there. And so please be deliberate about what we go after and what that really is. So that's number one. Number two is the unique thing about continuous delivery is that it is the front door to the platform. I say this a lot. Different than, let's say, CI concerns, which is about green repos and keeping that trunk head master going really, really clean. Continuous delivery is unique that it sits immediately adjacent to the runtime platform, and it is a front door, right? So for example, we can't go and take a platform like Kubernetes and say, here's the API, here's documentation, good luck. Really, most organizations out there at large scale don't want 5,000 engineers to have to go and ramp up on the Kubernetes manifest and labels and annotations and things like that, right? So the tooling, specifically continuous delivery, becomes the front door to that. Now that gap is immense. Where ideally we want our developers to go ahead and operate at, and where the platform sits, this is our obligation, our responsibility, our burden to go and do well. So it's imperative that we continue to go ahead and abstract, simplify, empower. That's all I really wanted to go ahead and say. Come speak to me outside if you guys like to. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for making the time to go ahead and check out here. This community is built on the people who are trying to go ahead and lead the charge on what's the right way to do these things with opinions, but they must be met with and validated in real life organizations. I've always felt that that's very, very special about Spinnaker, is that there's almost nothing that we put out there that some major organization or organizations are running and validating that really goes and works, which is very different than other areas where people might have conjectures about the right way to do things, but it's kind of unvalidated, right? So it's really, really important that we go ahead and continue to work as a community. I look forward to the next year we go and get together again. Pete will be sending out requests for feedback based on what you guys thought of the conference, what you guys would like to go out and see in the next year. So we will continue to build this community together. I'd really ask that you go out and participate in that. All right. Thank you very much. Safe travels.